However, you must have obligated, meaning that you've restricted or assigned all of the expenses to be paid to a designated vendor or a designated contractor no later. You must show that that's designated no later than December 31st of 2024. After December of 2024, you may not change the amount of reimbursement. Any changes to your contractors will not be allowed under ARPA. Again, also, you must keep a copy of all your documentation in a file, folder, or binder for 5 years following the end of your project. So we're going to introduce two forms to you today. First is the progress report. This is a report that is a narrative report that you will submit for the first time on July 7th of this year. This report not only tells us what progress you're making on your project, but it also allows us to continue to monitor that your project is underway and that you're not experiencing any undue delay or issue that would cause you not to complete your project. As we go along into 2023 and 2024, as well as 2025, if you are still operating, you will still be required to submit these reports to the city. So I'm going to show you an example of the report. This is an example of the progress report that every subrecipient will be required to file by July 7th of this year. The reporting period will cover everything that you've done and expensed in your project between January of last year and June 30th of this year. Section 1 will be completed by the city. We will take that information from your subrecipient agreement, and we will fill this in for the report. You, as the subrecipient, will complete Section 2. The title of your project. You will describe how you were adversely impacted by COVID or the people that you're helping. You will describe briefly how they were adversely affected by COVID. And also, if you're doing a community-wide project, please describe how the community of Bristol was affected by COVID. Then you'll give us a brief description on how your project will eliminate or decrease these COVID impacts to your business, your nonprofit, the people you serve, your customers, and or the community of Bristol, Connecticut. We then ask you to give us an idea of the percentage of the amount of your project you have completed as of June 30th of 2023. If you have not yet implemented your project, you will need to describe in this area why you have a delay in implementing your project, or if you're ready to complete it, but you've encountered a problem, please describe that here. Everyone will need to provide us a completion date. Your completion date can be no later than December 31st of 2026, as an example. You also need to start compiling what we call outputs or measurable data, or as I call it, numbers. How many customers have you served? How many beneficiaries of your nonprofit are receiving help? How many households? And then how many services that you're providing with ARPA funding are you provided? An example of a service would be such as a counseling session, a rental voucher to someone, a community art class, a training for firefighters. Those are examples of services, and you will count those and report those for this period. Also, if you are using ARPA money to support your salary cost, we will need the total number of FTEs, full-time equivalent positions that are being funded by ARPA. You may also collect other data, and we're happy that you do that. Please enter it in here, and you can just fill in the box. This is a fillable box, and the box will expand as you complete the form. Section F, again, through June 30th of 2023, you will tell us how many drawdown requests you have submitted, what is your total award, and from the request, what balance do you have remaining in your award from the City of Bristol as of June 30th of 2023. Everyone must tell us here when you will submit your final drawdown request. Your drawdown request, again, must coincide with the progress of your project. If you have not drawn down funds as of June 30th, please enter here the reason why you have a delay and the date you will submit your first drawdown request. Section G is a narrative. You will describe here the transformative impacts to your business, your organization, and the community made possible by the funding the City of Bristol has provided to you. This is a general narrative statement to complete in this box. You will then sign it, date it, and then send it back to Sarah and I at UHY. When we send out the form and the slides to you next week, I will have an example of what your progress report could possibly look like. Please follow that example. Again, if you have any questions as you get closer to filing your June report, Sarah and I are here to help you fill out that report. So we're telling you this now, so as projects start rolling along here, you can start recording how many people have we helped, how many people have gotten jobs with our workforce center, for example, how many customers are now, being able to access my business due to COVID recovery. Those are the type of numbers we would like to see. The next form will be the form that every subrecipient will fill out just one time. And this is when you close out your project. We need this form within 30 days of completing your project and receiving your entire reimbursement from the city. Again, you'll put the date in here when you are submitting the report. The city will fill this out, and you as the subrecipient will fill out section 2. Again, the title of your project, and again, how you eliminated or decreased the negative health impact. The items in A and B will be in your progress report, so you can cut and paste into this closeout report. Please tell us your completion date. And if you are engaging in construction, renovation, or purchasing a large piece or pieces of large equipment, we will need 5 photographs showing the completed project and the acquisition of the equipment. So you can take a before picture of the bathrooms that you're going to renovate, and you can take an after picture of the bathrooms you're renovating, for example. For equipment, we just need a photograph of that equipment that you purchased with ARPA. Your data will be a total of all the data you've been collecting in your progress reports. Total number of individuals, total number of households, total number of services, and the total number of people employed by you that were paid through ARPA funding, as well as any other data you wish to share with us. You will also then tell us the number of drawdowns you requested, and again, your total award per your subrecipient agreement, and your balance of the award. Again, the balance of your award must be 0 in order for us to close out your project. So those are the 2 forms we wish to introduce to you today so you can be prepared and start collecting your information and, of course, evaluating the success of your project. So again, the project progress report has these sections. Your first report will be due Friday, July the 7th. Your next report, which will be the last 6 months of this year progress, will be due January 12th of 2024. We know this may appear to be kind of long in the future, but as we know, time moves rather quickly. And we also want to make sure that you know now that we need your progress information because that information is shared with the elected officials, the city staff. It's also shared with the public as we can demonstrate how subrecipients use this funding with successful projects and how it impacted the people you serve, the employees you have, and the community of Bristol. This is the closeout report review. Again, we'll have you submit it 30 days once we say you're ready to be closed out. Keep in mind of the photograph requirement. You can take those with any iPhone and send those to us in a JPEG file. And when you get to that point, Sarah and I will help you with that, walking you through that. We just want you to also be aware that we continue to receive what we call compliance documentation from everyone. This is a list of the documentation that we're asking for. If you need help with getting your UEI number, let us know. Also, we will need a signed and dated subrecipient agreement, which means it's fully executed, or it's a typo there, but it's an executed agreement. Also, those that were in the what we call the first round of funding, we will be doing a desk review of your files the last week of this month. So if we are missing any of these things, we will be in contact with you. We cannot move forward to approving your drawdown request until we have all of these documents in our file. Again, just a reminder of the drawdown request, the webinar that we had in December. We had all of the templates, all of the forms there. We sent all of those out. If you need them again, please let us know. And again, we'd like you to scan them into one PDF attachment and send them to us for review. And keep in mind, it may take up to 2 weeks for the city to then reimburse you. This, again, is the deadline calendar that we would like to receive for monthly reimbursements. So for everything through December 31st of last year, if you're wishing to be reimbursed, please get that to Sarah and I by this coming Tuesday. If you don't have it all together, that's fine. We would need it by February the 14th, which is Valentine's Day. And if you're asking for quarterly reimbursement, it again is January the 17th. And for the first quarter of 2023, you will need to submit that by April the 14th. So at this point, I'm going to ask Sarah to unmute everyone's mic if you have any questions about the progress report form or the closeout form. If you have questions, you can raise your hand. We are happy to answer those right now, or if you have questions about reimbursements, procurements, now is the time to ask a question. John, turn on your mic. Yeah, okay, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. For the upcoming reimbursement next week, it's only for expenses that were incurred during December, or could it be for the first 2 weeks of
Yes.
January?
You can do that. Yes, you can do that.
Okay, so anything up to this, yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, up to this point, you can submit that.
Okay, thank you. And for the
Mhm.
progress report, as we are more of a nonprofit arts organization.
Mhm.
I guess I'll have to work with you closer to July to figure out the correct verbiage for putting into the progress report as to, because we don't really have we're not building anything, we're not renovating anything, we're just providing a artistic service to the community.
Right.
Okay.
So with those kind of projects, sometimes you kind of have to do a little bit of creativity and measuring, what impact you're having.
Mm.
In this case, if you're doing like art events or any type of classes or anything, you need to estimate, the number of people that may have benefited. See what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yes. Okay, let's say we put on 3 concerts a year at an average of 250 people that were
Yeah,
got served by that per year per concert.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in some of these projects, you don't have a solid number because you're not, let me make an example. You're different than a housing program who has actual people that can count, actual households. For more public projects like yours, usually what you're going to do is you're going to estimate attendance. And that will be the data and the impact that you'll be reporting on.
Thank you.
Okay. So just everyone needs to keep in mind that this progress report is very important because it's something, again, that the city will see, and they will be putting information about all of the projects on the city website. Also keeping in mind that everything under the American Rescue Plan Act is public information. We are transparent. And so some of your projects may be selected where we do use photographs, or they may come out and visit you and we feature your project. So again, keep in mind, everything in your project report will be public information. Any other questions about progress reporting or closeout reporting? You can always send us an email. Again, we're giving you this far in advance. So the closer that we get to the second quarter of this year, we'll be talking about the progress report again. Our next webinar will probably be in March. So we will be going over the progress report in March. And also we are seeing some projects which are getting close to closing out. So we will probably also start reviewing closeout. So if I don't have any more questions about that part of the presentation, the last slide I have and review is applicable only to the Building Better Bristol Grant Program grantees. So if any of the rest of you want to drop off the call, that's fine. But this is specifically just for the Building Better Bristol Grant Program grantees. So we are going to remind you that if you've not yet completed your risk assessment virtual call with Sarah we need to have those completed by January the 18th. And I believe we have about 9 of the 26 subrecipients that we're needing to talk to you. So if you have not scheduled that with us, please send us an email and we'll set that up for next week. Also to remind these subrecipients that this is a matching grant. This is a dollar for dollar match. So on your risk assessment notes, we show that match, and in our discussion, we talk about that match. And that match will also be reflected in your subrecipient agreement, which we will start sending those out next week. The example is if you're receiving $30,000 from the city, you must provide $30,000 in match, and your total project cost is $60,000. Now, your project may be more than that, so you can do what we call overmatch, meaning more than $30,000, but you will only receive the $30,000 from the city. I'm going to pull up the expense ledger that we will be sending all of the Building Better Bristol grant program folks to complete. And this is how you will demonstrate your match when you submit your draw request. So this will be the first page. This will be blank, and this is what you will fill out. I have attached two examples, one if you're a business and one if you're a nonprofit. So here's an example for a business. So you have all of these contractors and vendors. This was the total amount. This is the share or the amount that you're asking the city to reimburse you for. Again, you're getting 15 from the city and you must provide 15 for a project of 30,000. In this case, your project has come in higher, and a lot of us are experiencing that with increased cost. So you will reflect, however, still the total cost of the project. Here's the 15 that you will get reimbursed from the city. Here is your match. Here's the total that was paid to these vendors and contractors. Here's the date you paid the invoice or received the receipt. Here's how you paid it. Then you will attach the invoice or the paid receipt. You will then attach proof of your 20,755.52 match. And you can most likely do that in a first quarter financial statement showing that you had this as unrestricted revenue. Or if you are going out and getting a line of credit or a loan, you will attach a copy of that. You can take your subrecipient agreement to your local bank or credit union and use that as proof and documentation that you'll need in order to receive the line of credit or the loan. This is an example if you're a nonprofit. You must provide 60 in match to the city, 60,000. So again, here's a list of all of the expenses. This was the total amount invoiced. This is the amount that you want reimbursed from the city. This is your match. This is the total paid. Again, these reconcile. These were the date of payment. This is how it was paid. These are the attachments. And again, in this case, you will see for the 60,000, this nonprofit received a grant that helped them with the match. You can attach for us I would not say the whole grant agreement. We'll probably want the first and the last page showing that you received the $60,000. But with most nonprofits, I've worked in nonprofits for 40 years, you show your match through a list of donations that you have received. that is unrestricted funds. And any type of statement you can generate to show your match is also okay. So this will be the form, the ledger, that as a Building Better Bristol program, you will use that ledger, and we will send that to you next week. We want to reiterate that you must provide your match at the time of requesting an award reimbursement. Example, if you are requesting $10,000 in city reimbursement, you must show us $10,000 in match. This will result in you completing a drawdown request form, the match ledger, and all the supporting documentation. Most of you will be at or near completion of your project, which will likely mean that you probably will only submit one reimbursement request to us, because these projects generally are pretty small compared to the first round of projects. If you need assistance as you start your matching project, Sarah and I are here to help you with collecting your match, showing your match, and getting your reimbursement. Any questions? We'll open up the mics for any questions from our Building Better Bristol Grant Program subrecipients today. Raise your hand or speak up. Right now, we're like at the beginning with all of you guys with your risk assessments. You're starting to collect your documents. We'll get your subrecipient agreement to you next week. And so we're not expecting you to start requesting your reimbursement and provide your match until probably February or March. We just wanted you, though, to be aware of that process. We also want you to be aware that you will have to submit a progress report and a closeout report. All of the subrecipients will have to submit those two reports. If I don't have any questions and we don't have anything in chat, we're going to give you back some of your time for Friday, because I don't know about you, but I'm anxious for the weekend. Again, please reach out and let us know of questions at any time. Otherwise, we wish you a safe weekend, and we'll talk to some of you next week. Bye.